Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I'm excited to be part of our global Stampin' Up! Share Fair. I apologize that I can't be with you live today, but I am excited to share my two projects with you in celebration of our Global Share Fair 2nd anniversary. I am using then two different stamp sets, Happiness Abounds and Hello Beautiful. So let's get started. First, let me show you the first card that I made. And this one uses the Hello Beautiful stamp set and the Beautiful Shapes dies. Love these. I had fun using these for the smaller hexagons here. And then I used the circles, the two middle circles for the sentiment and to mat it. So a lot of fun shapes in this. I really like that. I love using the hexagons especially. And then on the inside, again, using that same set, and I fussy cut the paper, which came, or a lemon from the paper that came from the Tea Boutique 6x6 Designer Series paper pack. And you can see lots of teacups and flowers, and I really tried to stay away from those and use some more neutrals, but these are the beautiful papers that are in the set. And I did, of course, use this one and this one and the lemons, and then I used some coordinating papers from the back, and let me show you the backs of these. Really pretty colors, and those are what I used. That's the paper pack that I used, and so I fussy cut one of the lemons out from that Designer Series paper for the inside. So that was card number one, and I'll keep it here to show you basically the template and the model for the card that we're going to make today. Now let me show you the supplies that I'm using for the second card. I'm using the same basic design, but obviously since it's our 2-year anniversary with a different stamp set and other different products. So I'm using the Happiness Abounds stamp set. This is new in the upcoming catalog, and it has some companion dies, the Blossoming Happiness dies. All of these, cut out all of these, which is very cool. And there are some beautiful fonts. And there are several other dies in the die set. And I'm just going to show you quickly what they cut out. One makes a little notebook edge. And then we have this edge. And then this one I'm very eager to use, but I haven't had the chance quite yet. It cuts out most of the images, the little hearts that look like maybe flowers, but then there are also some that are meant to be dimensional because they don't come out completely. So I'm very, very excited to use that. And remember that if you order these together as a bundle, you get 10% off. In that same Hues of Happiness suite is the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper, which is what we will be using today. Let me show you some of those. Loving the colors. And then these are the rest of them. I love the way that it has, a lot of them have a rainbow effect. And this one. And then the flip side, as always, has another one with a rainbow effect. And just some beautiful coordinating colors. So that's what we will be using today, along with some embellishments. So let's get started with the card. All right, so we are going to start with a Daffodil Delight card base. I actually made a couple of cards using this Happiness Abounds stamp set, and I altered the color of the card base and the flowers that you're going to see as part of the embellishments based on the colors in the Designer Series paper. So in this case, I have already pre-cut our strips. They are 1 inch by 4 inches. Or 2.8 centimeters by 10 centimeters. And actually I'm going to lay them right out on the card. And we'll adhere them right away, because this is probably the most challenging part, trying to get them so that there's even spacing all the way around the card. And the easiest thing is to adhere the two end pieces first and the middle piece last. So we are going to kind of get started with that. I'm going to use my multi-purpose liquid glue, and actually I'm going to use my bone folder, which I forgot here today. It's just not lying flat enough for me, so the bone folder helps with that. Now we're going to get our multi-purpose liquid glue because I have an idea of what the spacing should be. I'm going to turn it sideways just to make it easier for me to see a little bit. And move it down, get it nice and centered before that glue starts to adhere. And we'll do the same thing with the one on the other side. And again, kind of eyeballing it so that it's even with the one on the other end. And that looks pretty good. And then we'll reposition these before we adhere the rest of them. Again, paying attention to the spacing in between. All right, so they look all about the same. I think I can do it. And then the last one will center between the other two. And even if your spacing is not exact, if there's not exactly equal spacing in between, it's not going to matter too much because we are going to be covering a good portion of this. All right, from here that looks pretty good. It's hard to do this without your head right over it, but hopefully that's pretty centered. So now we're going to do some stamping, and I think we'll start with the inside. Let's get that, make sure that glue is adhering. And we're going to use Gorgeous Grape on the inside. And our sentiment is, sending many thanks for all you do. And I do want to show you, for a stamp, a photopolymer stamp that's this long, the easiest way to make sure it stays straight is to lay it down on a level surface, pick it up with your block so then you know it hasn't, because an advantage is that you can change these and move them around if you want to make the shape different, but it can be a disadvantage when you want it to be in a straight line. So that's how we compensate for that. And we're also going to take the larger of the two little flower bouquets and decorate the inside by just turning this at an angle over here. And we're going to do the same thing on the envelope, so I'm going to pull that in. So our inside is already complete. And we'll do it at an angle this way. And now our envelope is almost done. We're going to bring that back in a little bit for some final touches. Oh, and actually, we're going to leave that out because we're going to use it on the outside as well. So I have literally a scrap of Daffodil Delight, and I'm going to use this sentiment on the outside. You are wonderful in every way. And we're going to stamp it in Gorgeous Grape on that Daffodil Delight. So we're going to cut it out with our double oval punch. And we're going to use the smaller one. So we're going to layer it. So you just fit it in so that it's centered. And pop it out. While we've got the punch here, we will punch out the larger one, again using another scrap in Gorgeous Grape. And then we're going to do some more stamping. So I've got, again, a scrap of fresh Freesia. And let's see if this will fit. Yes, I believe it will. If not, I will get a larger one. And we're going to stamp this pretty rose in fresh Freesia, on fresh Freesia. Got a scrap of Flirty Flamingo. and my Flirty Flamingo ink. And for this, we're going to use the largest flower from the set. And I've got a large scrap of Pool Party because that's all I have. And we're going to stamp another one of the roses in Pool Party. And again, I chose colors that would be picked up in the pattern paper. So Pool Party, Daffodil Delight, Gorgeous Grape, the Fresh Freesia, and the Flirty Flamingo is in a couple of different spots on some of these papers, and the flowers up here, so that's why I chose those. And then last but not least, Granny Apple Green. And we've got a scrap of Granny Apple Green. We're going to do 2 of this leaf and 1 of the smaller one. And then I'm going to cut everything out and be right back. Okay, now that I have everything cut out, we will do our assembly. So my idea was to assemble the flowers. I think I may even do it this way. Kind of tucking them behind each other a little bit, and with the sentiment underneath. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal to put the pieces of the sentiment together, the layers. And we'll stick the leaves in kind of in between once we get the rest of the placement decided on. I think I'm going to put the big one over here by the Flirty Flamingo. I think I like that better. I do like the Pool Party. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. And move it this way a little. And we're going to put those on with Stampin' Seal. And then for this, we're going to use our dimensionals. And take the paper off so that we give that sentiment a little prominence. And we are going to make sure that's centered on that center panel. And for the leaves, I think we'll tuck them in. Oh, I think that looks pretty good. And for these, I'm going to put them on with glue dots. And for our embellishments, we are going to use some of the In Color Opal rounds and the Glossy Dots assortment, depending on which flower they're going on, because I matched up the colors. So we'll put a Fresh Freesia in the center of the rose. And I think we will use the Polished Pink on the Flirty Flamingo. And then I believe this is Pool Party, and that's what we used for the other rose. I need a little more putty. And my putty is almost out. It's not helping matters. There we go. I almost forgot, before we finish, we do need to add a strip of the pattern paper to the back of the envelope for that finishing touch that I talked about earlier. So I'm just going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue. And we'll position the paper flush with the envelope on the left-hand side and the top. Press it to help it adhere. And then we'll cut around the edge of the envelope flap. And there we have it, our finished card. Both of my cards from today, using different stamp sets, again with the same general outline or recipe of using the strips on each one and then having a focal point in the center for the sentiment. So I hope you like them. We have a fabulous show special this time to help celebrate our 2nd anniversary of the Global Share Fair. So please talk to the demonstrator who invited you to find out about that special and hopefully to take advantage of it. You will get a tutorial with ideas from all the demonstrators who are part of the Share Fair, different cards from the ones that we're showing you today, so you'll have lots of wonderful ideas. So do reach out and take advantage of that show special, and we will see you again soon. Happy stamping!